hard to imagine with everything that's going on with President Trump right now that there could be even something more explosive. News breaking. An explosive discovery. You can call it what you will, bombshell discovery. I didn't know which term to use because today's broadcast may be one of the most impactful you'll ever hear. This president's actions could all be rendered null and void. And it's in court right now. It's already been filed. Simultaneously, Elon Musk didn't know this. Two shocking revelations that will come out during today's video. That 24 hours ago, even I had no idea. And that's the story I'll bring you here in 1 minute. That's right, far left Democrat female lawmakers choose your fighter. Well, that's a losing battle, hasn't it been? And you're about to find out about two severe losing battles. I know the title drives traffic. It's what it is designed to do. So I'm sure some on the left right now are going to be rather upset because what they're going to find out is that those two bombshell discoveries, hurt them badly. It could completely destroy historical precedent, and because of what was done, may destroy everything the Biden administration has done. And Elon Musk throwing his arms in the air when he finds out a process within government that may make all these court orders that are blocking all of Trump's maneuvers vanish. I threw my arms in the air when I read it because I didn't even know the depth of what could be done, but I had to at least start your broadcast with a smile, right? Because things are getting serious. I don't know if you heard this or not. Kash Patel springing into action, finding two active military members, and the Department of Justice is posting this court document as a courtesy to the public. And that, my friends, would be an indictment. I told you, until arrests and handcuffs happen, nothing will happen. Kash Patel announcing, breaking, I can now report that today, the FBI, along with our interagency partners, led by Pam Bondi, arrested two active duty U.S. Army soldiers and one former U.S. Army soldier for the theft of government property and the bribery scheme. These individuals have been charged with stealing America's defense intelligence capabilities and empowering adversaries like, I know everybody's been watching my broadcast, public enemy number one, China, in betrayal of our country. They will now face American justice. The eye has always been on the prize. They know who our adversary is, but that's not all Trump did yesterday. Now we had a few other announcements.
I want to find the answers. I've told them. In fact, today I said, I want to find. We can no longer blame Biden for that one. He should have released that a long time ago. So they are giving me a report next week sometime, and I do believe I'll be releasing. I want to release the report. A lot of people have asked that question. You had one who had 3 apps, 2 of which were foreign, supposedly, and who has the biggest white shoe law firm in Pennsylvania, even though they don't live in necessarily a white shoe area. What's that all about? His law, the law firm. The other one had 7 or 6 cell phones, and I don't have 6 cell phones. And why would somebody have 6 cell phones. So we're going to be releasing a report on that soon, Peter.
But based on what you're saying right there, the lack of information and the data points that you just gave, does that make you think that there's some part of that there's some bigger...
It could be. Well, it makes other people think that. It makes me think it a little bit too.
All the reports coming out. His assassination attempt reports are going to finally come out, and maybe we'll get some more information. Still want to know what happened with that white van with Thomas Crooks? The van that ended up becoming a car magically and just disappearing off the record. Oh, I still want to know that. But I want you to look at something else in this picture here, something that becomes very relevant later in the story. And it's right there. Who knows what's in that box? And who knows what they're used for? Put it in the comments, because it takes center focus again later in this broadcast. Critical focus. Oh, you're going to be ecstatic when we get there. But not the only executive action taken yesterday. No, did you hear about this one?
Sir, your administration has made it a priority both to end lawfare and the weaponization of government, and also to hold those who have engaged in lawfare accountable. One of the law firms that has been involved in that is called Perkins Coie. That's also a law firm that has engaged in unlawful DEI practices. This executive order will suspend security.
And I've watched it take place.
This executive order will suspend security clearances and access to certain federal resources for that law firm, and also launch a holistic review of unlawful DEI practices at some of the nation's largest law firms.
This is an absolute honor to sign. What they've done is it's just terrible. It's weaponization. You could say weaponization against a political opponent, and it should never be allowed to happen again. And you're looking at about 15 different firms?
That or more, sir, yes.
Okay.
And that very action, didn't mean to interrupt him. The signing of a document. This one in particular, explosive in itself. Suspending security clearances for employees at Perkins, Coie, and many others. I was ecstatic to see that. But we're just getting started. Best part about today's broadcast. Top Trump allies hold secret talks with Zelensky's Ukrainian opponents. Uh-oh. Appears poor Zelensky, well, his troubles aren't over. It appears that Washington is ramping up for a rapid election after Macron's nuclear saber rattling yesterday and Russia's reply, things need to happen rather quickly. Macron, by the way, how many nukes do you have, and how many does Russia have? Is that really a battle you want to wage? Man, you better be careful with those words, brother. We're going to start the next world war, but I guess, who knows? Seems to be what everyone's pushing for over there on that side of the pond, huh? So much to report, but my dreams really came true yesterday. Well, almost all of them. Many of you who watch my broadcast know that that's actually my dream, but unachievable. So again, if anybody who knows anybody at Indian can, put in the comments below. Yeah, I'd love to give that to Lisa someday. Okay, I'm giving it to myself. She'll just be with me. Moment of levity again before we hit the hard-hitting topics here. Amazing, by God, it's beautiful. But I need another favor from you outside of knowing somebody in Indian who could actually put that within my reach, hopefully someday. I need you to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. It's not your normal style of news, but it is growing quickly. And it's growing quickly because of each and every one of you, those of you who have subscribed, those of you who provide comments, those that you have the ability to support as a member here, those of you that even have the additional ability and who provide super thanks. It keeps the lights and cameras on. And those who took the additional step to see Lisa Haven and me together on our own news channel, which is restrictedrepublic.com. No commercials, no interruptions on that platform. The best part about it, is you not only get every single video we put out on every platform with all commercials and interruptions removed, you get our daily exclusive broadcasts. And anybody who's there knows how intense those get, because that information could only be found there for very good reason. It's why we created it. As the thralls of COVID were upon us, Restricted Republic was born and has grown exponentially. So thank you all for all your support. It truly does keep this news flowing. But now let's get back to this broadcast. Let's start here. Article after article. Obama judge. Biden judge. Indefinitely blocks Trump administration funding freeze, says White House put itself above Congress, undermined, my least favorite word, democracy. It seems it's never going to end. Everything Trump does, they bat back across the courts. They stop it. All the progress. How are you ever going to shrink government if the courts continue to allow government to be as expansive as it was? And we, the people, did not vote for that outcome. But the courts are deciding. It appears that we, the people, don't matter. Well, the original, the OG of DOGE, Rand Paul himself. Well, him and Elon Musk have been meeting together, and Rand Paul handed him a different blueprint. Rand Paul wants Doge to build a $500 billion rescission package for Congress to approve. Rescission package. That's not impoundment, that's rescission. The only way you get less waste is to give them less money to spend, says the libertarian senator from Kentucky. So I wanted to learn more, of course. I was a one-man Doge before Doge was a gleam in the eyes of the amped-up tech executives. You remember, I've covered this for you year after year, the Festivus report on government waste, amazing publication. Rand Paul calling out the government for all the programs that were ludicrous that we're spending money on, but nobody ever did anything about it. Well, until Doge came along, and they cut the wasteful spending, and the courts, overturn it in so many of these cases. So enter rescissions. How do they work? I'll keep it simple for you. You put a package together, you present it to Congress. We'd like to remove this spending. Congress would have to vote on it. It goes through a different procedure before it gets to the Senate. With Republicans holding a narrow 53 to 47 Senate majority, one of the most attractive aspects of rescission is that it doesn't require 60 votes. A simple majority suffices to grant the president's wish, and it can be done quickly. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley told reporters that Musk was elated with Paul's proposal. I think he didn't realize it could be done at 51. According to South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, it was the first time Musk had heard of the rescission process. He said that Musk reacted by triumphantly lifting his arms in the air. This doesn't go through the courts. The package is presented to Congress of everything they want to cut. Congress approves it, kicks it to the Senate, who now doesn't require the 60 votes to pass it. Republicans hold the majority. The rescission package goes through, and the courts can't overrule it because it went through all the branches of government, removing the judiciary. That's brilliant. And I believe this will be put into force quickly because Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump are tired of the courts overriding their attempts to shrink government. Call Donald Trump a tyrant, huh? The man who's actually trying to shrink government, which was so overblown. It is a monumental moment. But that was just one thing discovered. The second one can render this president's actions null and void. Oh, not this president, not President Trump. No, potentially President Biden. Hope you heard this story. If not, you're about to. Obama wields his Autopen. This on NPR. What was an Autopen? Well, back in the day, it was something quite different. As the news broke on Friday, the President Obama signed the Patriot Act extension from France without being near the bill he needed to sign. You could almost hear thousands of Americans asking in unison, what's an Autopen? If Obama's in France and the bill's in Washington, and, well, the Constitution requires a signature, how did he sign it exactly? And is it legal for him to sign it? The first Autopen was patented in 1803 by a man named John Isaac Hawkins. It was called the polygraph. As it was called, was immediately pounced on by America's original early adopter of cutting-edge technology, President Thomas Jefferson. He wrote with one pen, and it was hooked to another pen, and the other one made a copy on a second piece of paper, said Susan Stein, senior curator of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia plantation. Well, that was one version of an Autopen, but at least President Jefferson was there holding the physical pen that was creating a second pen's copy. Not the modern-day Autopen. No, not so much. You see, this modern-day Autopen learns your signature and is able to recreate your signature without you ever touching the pen. So it's been argued that presidents can give authority to sign a document without physically being with the document. Well, not every president. No, most of them don't do this. President Clinton was in Turkey when a bill funding the government had to be signed, and President Reagan was in a similar situation while in China. In both cases, the Justice Department decided it was safer to fly the bill halfway around the world rather than sign it with an Autopen. You see, this isn't the practice, and it's why I pointed out Donald J. Trump's signature and the pens on his desk to sign those documents. Physically being with the bill itself upon signature. Imagine what could happen if you simply said you gave authority to sign a bill or legislation. Where's that documented? Who made the phone call? Who authorized it? Who signed it? Oh, it gets more explosive than this. Every bill shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate. Rescission. That's why they can't block it in the courts. Shall, before it became a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approves, he shall sign it in the U.S. Constitution itself. Making legislative history with nod from Obama and stroke of an Autopen. That's where it started. Isn't it funny that it wraps back into Biden? It's like it's that, oh, never mind. Sorry. All the president's signatures. The constitutional quibble with the Autopen. It's not what you think it is. As a matter of fact, even Slate in this article states the bottom line is that the Autopen gate establishes a dangerous precedent, one that every thinking lawmaker in Washington politics seems to have overlooked. Nobody should be signing bills for the president, not even when the president orders them to do so. That was on Slate, left-leaning. Could a bombshell discovery render all of Biden's presidential actions null and void? All. Could a bombshell discovery render all of Biden's presidential actions null and void? And here it is. Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, dated March 4th, 2025, to Michael Horowitz, U.S. Department of Justice. Legality of presidential action in light of President Biden's mental decline is what it is titled. I am writing you, Mr. Horowitz, to conduct a full investigation into President Biden's mental capacity in the final days in office. By now, Biden's mental decline is famous. Under the 25th Amendment, his inability to make decisions should have meant a cessation of power. Instead, it appears staffers and officers in the Biden administration may have exploited Biden's incapacity so they could issue orders without an accountable president of sound mind approving them. These are big statements. That would explain why the Biden administration orders were aggressively much farther left than any previous president. If in fact Biden staffers were exploiting his mental decline, those orders are null and void. But those orders had to be signed, right? Oh, they dig deeper. The states need to know because those orders affect us. For example, the Biden White House purported to vacate the death sentences of several convicted murderers who committed their crimes in Missouri. Now you see why this came out of of Missouri. As the Supreme Court recently held, states like Missouri can criminally try individuals under state law even if they already were prosecuted under federal law. States like Missouri need to know whether to pursue the path or not. And then he gives a little bit of evidence behind it. Evidence that I have backing for you on. The evidence he provides comes out of Mike Johnson. Speaker Johnson reveals when he knew Biden wasn't in charge anymore. The speaker recalled, I said, Mr. President, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? You understand you're fueling Putin's war machine because they've got to get their gas from him. I didn't do that, Biden stated. But in fact, the executive order had just been signed weeks earlier. Johnson recounts the surreal moment that he offered to have Biden's staff print out the executive order so they could read it together. It was only then that Biden vaguely acknowledged it. But when Johnson pressed further, it became evident the president had no grasp of the executive action. So then the question was in Mike Johnson's mind, who signed it? Was left with fear and loathing. I thought we're in serious trouble. Who's running the country? Johnson questioned. Like, I don't know who put the paper in front of him. Or was it in front of him? In addition to Speaker Johnson recounting Biden's complete misunderstanding of the energy document he signed, those closest to Biden appear to have worked hard to hide Biden's decline so they could retain influence they would not otherwise have had. Speaker Johnson, for example, again, reported to staff and elected officials, including former Vice President Kamala Harris and former Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, tried to prevent Johnson from meeting with Biden. The people who ran, and this is Lindy Lee, you knew that was going to come back around on him, the people who ran our country for the last 4 years were his staff, his wife, and his son, Hunter Biden. Another explosive revelation. Finally, there's a streak of extraordinary far-left orders purportedly issued by Biden. Just the extraordinary orders since November include vacating the death sentences of nearly all persons sentenced to the ultimate punishment, granting his son, Hunter Biden, a blanket pardon going back more than 10 years, despite previously promising he wouldn't do so, endorsing the legally frivolous theory that Equal Rights Amendment was timely ratified. Indeed, apparently, in reliance on far-left groups, Biden pardoned or commuted the sentences of 2,500 individuals who he described as nonviolent. But he gave clemency to people like Adrian Peeler, who killed a mother and her 8-year-old child. This, plus an ocean of other far-left orders that Biden purportedly issued, but never supported before his mental decline, strongly suggests exploitation by staffers and officials who want to promulgate far-left policies without any accountability or democratic legitimacy. It is a black-letter law that a document is void when the person signing it lacks mental capacity. But to add fuel to the fire, and we'll show you in a second, President cannot constitutionally evade accountability by laundering far-left orders through a man who does not know what he is signing. Which begs a larger question. If Biden didn't agree prior to what is now being defined in this document and his mental decline, then why would he sign it after? Who has been running the country for the last few years? I fear that Mr. Biden, while he held office as president, did so in name only and was a mere puppet for a far-left unelected staffers. The people deserve to know. Andrew Bailey, Missouri Attorney General. So he's now asked the DOJ to investigate whether Biden's cognitive mental decline allowed unelected officials to make decisions without his knowledge or approval. If that's the case, Biden's executive orders, his pardons, and other actions may be unconstitutional and null and void. So another investigation ensues by the Heritage Foundation. Heritage Foundation's oversight project, to be more particular, revealing that virtually every document bearing Joe Biden's signature during his presidency was signed by an Autopen, except one. I know. Pretty black and white, huh? Every single document except one during Joe Biden's presidency, according to Heritage Foundation's oversight project, was signed by an Autopen. They gathered every document they could find. All used the same Autopen signature except for one. The announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race last year. My friends, we have the makings of a monstrous discovery here. Where it will end? There is his retirement signature. There are the signatures that is being declared made by the Autopen that Obama set precedence on, and now may end up at a court of law pending this investigation as to if those are even valid or not. We called this out the day we saw it, that may be the real one. And these are being declared to be the auto signature. The implications are staggering. PJ Media did an amazing job on this. We essentially had a presidency by proxy with unelected staffers wielding presidential power while the man himself was barely cognizant enough to read a teleprompter. This isn't just a scandal. It's potentially the biggest constitutional crisis in American history. Could a bombshell discovery render all of Biden's presidential actions null and void? Right now, I just wish I had a bag of popcorn and I could just be popping it back, because we have now seen two amazing discoveries all over the course of the last 24 hours or so that could change the course of U.S. history. My friends, this is why I adore doing this. I adore bringing you this information. I hope this made sense. I want to see you blow up the comments. What do you think about this? Always making sure we're staying on the right track, and the right track is assuring we're giving you the news that you're looking for. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.